Packers Nation, it comes with a heavy heart to inform you that this is going to be the last and final episode of Packers on the Rocks. There's no way that we can be able to continue with this brand of football. We're going to fold like a tent. We're caving. We're picking a new team here today to root for. Absolutely just kidding. I mean, hey, if we're going to be carrying the G here, then this is only a sign of things to come. So everybody better hunker down and get used to it, because this is potentially what Packer football is going to look like here for the future. And with that being said, let's go ahead and toast and cheers to episode 5. Dave, it's funny now when I think about it. We talked for a few years about putting together a video recap series, and the time that we finally decided to do it, this is the season that we have to embark upon.
Yeah, we should have pulled the trigger. 2019 struggled a little bit, and then like 2020 and 2021 been like rejoicing and win after win. But this is the year. This is our inaugural year of struggling. So, but cheers, buddy. I have a tall glass myself today.
Absolutely, it's well worth it too. And hey, this is going to test everybody's fandom. So this shows that we're here to stick it out, and we've come to the acceptance of potentially what this season is. Lil Wayne already tweeted out here not too long ago that he's put an RIP to the season, put him in the coffin. We should have traded 12, but this is going to be a pretty much a gut reaction, real and raw episode. What's the take here coming right out the gates?
The take is that we're gonna be, looking at the season as a talent evaluation of what works, what doesn't work. This team's way different than 2016. Like Rodgers in his presser was like in 16 felt like it was coming, and then you run the table, and then you just didn't have the horses at the end. This does not feel like that. This even his pressers don't feel like that. So like this is very much, it's hard to say rebuild because you have 12, right? Like if you're gonna rebuild, you would have traded Adams and traded Rodgers and just start from scratch. But this is kind of like a window is closing, but you still have pieces around, and you're stuck in between, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like we're in quicksand right now, and it's not like we can be able to blow this thing up and start fresh next year and acquire a whole bunch of draft capital. This could potentially be where we have to own it for not only this year, but also for last year, and that window not being there.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought this was going to probably be down the road, like probably 2-3 years from now. I thought we would be a little step back from 13 wins. I was probably looking at more of the 9-11 win window, probably 9-11, but like probably more like 10, sneak in as a 6-7 seed. But boy almighty, we're looking at top 10 draft pick right now, and you're looking at you lose next week against Cowboys. You still have Titans and Phillies coming up. Like, do we even get a win in the next 3 games? Like, then you're really serious. You turning the page and being like, toast to 2020. Like, let's look at the draft.
it is. I mean, this is kind of like a culmination. We've been bare, whether everybody agrees with it or not. We've been bare these past couple years at wide receiver, and now it's rearing its ugly head in our offensive line and not being able to have people play multiple positions. And kind of going back to like the Rodgers presser, yeah, he has yet to make a statement, which he's like, oh, we don't have all of our guys healthy just yet. And once we do, which he's said that the past couple of years with like Bach coming back, but I think he's kind of in acceptance too of maybe I should have retired, or this is the team now that I'll have to work with for the next couple of years. And speaking of him too, which kind of leads into the game itself. If you're gonna point fingers and place blame when it comes to this big fat L, that was an ugly one. How much of it are you putting on the shoulders of 12?
He looked a lot like old Favre today, didn't he? Like, there was, which maybe you should have like played more like that earlier in his career of just gunslinging it and trying to fit it in tight windows. Because today he had like carefree. I'm gonna just throw it around the yard because he made that comment a week ago saying we need to air it out to win games. So here you are, you're airing it out to lose games, I guess. Like, but yeah, he probably started looking more like 40-year-old Favre out there to me today.
It's sad too. I had a feeling it was going to happen when their very first opening series or scripted plays. What was it, like 4 of the 5 first plays? They just, open it up, just, hey, we're going to try to air this thing out after your run game just picked up 200 plus on the ground the week before. And Aaron Jones, once again at halftime, were neglecting the man. And I mean, it was even like halfway through the game, I was starting to count on my fingers how many passes he's missing. Like starting with we left 17 points on the board at half, but like talk about like our red zone offense and throwing 2 red zone interceptions. How rare is that for Rodgers? I don't think he's ever done that in his whole entire career.
Yeah, I can't remember. They put something on the broadcasting is the first one he did was the first one like 86 passes or whatever it was. So start out like Jones had 4 carries or 5 carries by halftime, which that's not winning football. That's not complimentary football at all. And then you get down to the -5 yard line twice in a row, and you're like, okay, 4th and 1. I'm going to throw it to my left tackle. That seems like the best play call. And the first one is, just hand it off. But he does this, I'm going to pull it out of you and throw into the dude's face mask on the 1 yard line, trying to fit a tight ball into Lazard, which I think if he even gets through the line of scrimmage, I don't think Lazard's coming down with that because the guy's draped all over him.
And it's
So
the pass is behind him too.
And he missed one to Torrey. Like he was
He not only missed Torrey on that one, and he's showing, which he doesn't want to describe it as miserable, but it's something beyond frustration at that. He missed Torrey there, and he also missed Lazard and Tunyon were both screaming wide open in the middle of the field, and he just doesn't see him. It's like you get down in that 1st and goal. I think it was first and goal from the 1 with our first scoring opportunity where you hit the defender in the face mask. Like just pound up the middle with AJ Dillon every single time, or let's take Aaron Jones and throw him on a sweep play outside or a shovel pass inside to a tight end. Like what?
Shovel pass to DeGuara. Like there's so many options you have. Like why do we not have the option to just put a 6th offensive line in and just run the ball, or go wishbone, old school, put Lewis in, put DeGuara in, put Dillon in the halfback, or do like Lewis, Dillon, and Jones backfield. Like there's so many options you have that like, but no, let's get Rodgers his stats and let's throw it 3 times from the 1 yard line, and the one fade route he threw to Watkins where Watkins is busting inside, and it's just everything is disjointed.
I think it's about time to bench I mean, none of us were fans of the signing. At least I know I wasn't. Like, I think it's about time to bench Sammy. Aaron was talking about on the Pat McAfee show, which I can't wait to hear what he says on Tuesday about it. But talking about on Pat McAfee, we need to start cracking the whip and taking snaps away. There was at least 3 plays where Sammy Watkins is completely, not on the same page with Rodgers and running a wrong route, including our last offensive play of the game.
Yeah. The problem you have with all of a sudden benching Watkins is who do you have left? Because Dobbs is going to miss some time. Watson can't stay on the field. It's rookie walls. It's rookie. You need to bulk up to match the physicality of the NFL. But what? You take Watkins off the field all of a sudden, then what? You're left with Torrey, Amari Rodgers, and Alan Lazard.
What about Aaron Jones in the slot? Like you were talking about, that's the only way we beat the Bills, which you weren't too far off from it because we definitely gave him the touches that he needed, and he was averaging 7 a pop. But who knows? Maybe we play. I mean, it just beats me, Dave, why we won't feature 33 in this offense. Why didn't we trade him at the trade deadline then?
We should have been sellers. Like you made a good point. All right, so this might not be like a game recap video. This might be a overall whole of this team
We're
recap
and
because, in my opinion, your three best players on this offense are AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, and Kylan Hill. Like, you should probably put Aaron Jones in the slot, use Dillon as your back, and then rotate Kylan Hill in as a change of pace guy. Like, he had some pop his first carry. Like, just rotate those three guys in and out, run it 40 times a game, or just run screens to them. Like, I don't care. But like it's just not fusing together between the management of Goodikins of how he built this team, the coaching staff of how they want to run this team, and the player execution. Like, clearly they built this team to be defensive led and run the football. The coaching staff wants to play air raid Texas Tech football, and the players can't execute with penalties, miscues, drop passes, just inexcusable mistakes at an NFL level. Like, nothing is coming together this year.
I think it all comes down to egos too, whether anybody will admit it or not. The man's getting paid $50 million a year, or just take any sort of job out there where you're getting paid the big bucks. You don't want to simply just be a pedestrian style employee, do you? And just be a game manager and have the offense flow through something else. Like, don't get me wrong. I think LaFleur is also a part of this air raid Texas offense. Back when Graham was throwing for 6,000 yards at Texas Tech. But I would like to think if Jay Love is our starting quarterback this season, I think we might have 4 wins, because then we have to get the ball in the hands of 33, right?
Yes. If you traded Aaron Rodgers when they said they were gonna, when all that crap was coming out about him 2 drafts ago, and you put the Love in now, you would probably be giving Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon probably 25 plus touches a game each, which probably would have led to at least probably another win. Like, and Rodgers has, what is this, 5 interceptions on the year? Like,
No, he's up to, well, yeah, he is up to 5. I almost want to say 9. That could be the bourbon talking, Dave. But I know he's definitely up there. I don't know if we need to get a quick fact check out there. But that right there, it leads me to like my point of, that's what separates your Aaron Rodgers versus your Tom Brady. Tom Brady knows when he doesn't have the weapons at his disposal, he's not going to try to shoulder the load. No, I need to play a tick better, whatever the hell that means. He's actually going to dump the ball off to Danny Woodhead and hand the ball off 20 plus times a game.
Yeah. There's not many people that make more than their boss, right? Like, if I was making more money than my boss, I probably wouldn't have to listen to my boss, and that's part of the problem, right? So,
and we're going to continue to see. I mean, I don't think anything is going to change anytime soon, as long as 12 is under center.
So, I mean,
and can you blame the guy? He's played out of his mind his whole entire career.
I'm not
going to ask him to just, hey, can you take a couple steps back and just let somebody else run the show for us?
I'm not going to blame the guy for playing old man Favre style, you know, when he has nothing, like, because he does. He looks like 40-year-old Favre. Like, he looks like when Favre was about to be shipped out. So, like, I'm like, and people were clamoring for Rodgers to take more risks, like, earlier in his career and fit it into tight windows. And now the guy doesn't have the horses and he's trying to fit them in and it's not working out. Like, okay, like, he's taking the risks. Like, but
I will say this: I thought he did look good moving around in the pocket today. He looked pretty quick. He picked up like 15 on like a 3rd and long, maybe even like 20 yards.
I think he was our leading rusher.
He moved around really well, but he's not seeing the field. His passes aren't quite there, and unless I think Lazard bailed him out on at least 3 passes here today, where if he's not bringing those in, then our drives get installed and we're throwing the defense out there. And by the way, I just quickly fact checked it. Not 9 interceptions, but he is at 7.
Okay, all right, split the difference.
Yeah.
The yeah, I expected it. We expected this, but it wasn't like now. Like I didn't. It was probably like a 2 year like expectation that this was going to happen. I expected this once like Rodgers was gone, and now it's happening that he is here, which kind of makes it all that much more frustrating, sadder, whatever you want to make of it. Yeah, it's the frustration part comes because like Gutekunst undermining himself. Like if you're going to draft Love, you have to have a plan to get rid of Rodgers. And kudos to Rodgers because Rodgers like had a vendetta for 2 years. So like he played out of his mind to be like, basically screw you, Love. I'm holding on this fort. Like, okay, I can see it for like being on like a tear for a couple of weeks, but he basically ran the table like 16 for 2 years straight. Like, I'm going to just play out of my mind and show you that you made the worst mistake of your life. When 19, he was probably declining, and now he's back to declining. Like, he's still that aging old quarterback. But the problem was, Gutekunst drafted Love and then didn't have whatever you want to call it to trade Rodgers when Rodgers needed to be traded. Like, if you're going to rebuild, you trade Rodgers and you trade Adams. So it doesn't have to be the same team, but you get the draft capital and you just completely rebuild. Instead, we're stuck in limbo where got rid of basically our best offensive player, and you have nothing around Rodgers, and now everything's kind of the cards are on the table, and you kind of know what this team is now.
Truth be told, which this is a hindsight 2020, it's hard for me to be able to act like I've seen this coming for the longest time, but Davante Adams, I think, covered up a lot of Aaron Rodgers declining. I even think about a lot of plays that he's hitting Davante Adams down the sidelines for a gain. If he puts that ball in a little bit better of a spot, Davante is running in for a score when you were at Lambeau in 2016 and the way they started off that Seahawks game. So I think it was that, yes. And then I'll support Gutekunst because I don't think a lot of people are supporting Gutekunst at this point, and I might as well take his side. I think he bought into that 49ers playoff loss, which I did too, just a little bit too much with the defense that he had on the field and how absolutely dominant they were, where he's figuring to himself, hey, if I can put a arguably top 5 defense on the field, how is it that Aaron Rodgers and whatever the hell else I throw out in the field, why can they not be able to put up 17 or 20 points a game? When now, I mean, what we scored 9 this one. I feel like it's a slug. Like it's a lot if we get to even like 17 or 20 points. It's hard for us to get to 14.
So you mentioned the Niners and the defense. Who's taking a step up this year?
So here's the bright spot of it. It's almost like, hey, like you said at the beginning, this is going to turn into like a talent evaluation, and we're just going to try to stay optimistic because there's a lot of other people that I think you'll start seeing fall off the bandwagon, or I'm going to turn off the TV and I'm no longer going to support the team. Which that's not carrying the GL. I mean, like, come on, let's get real, people. Like we've seen previews of this. It's not like that the glory days are going to last for 30 plus years. Here's the bright spots. I saw a number of rookie players today that I thought played incredibly well, starting with the offense. Zach Tom, I don't know if he's a left tackle, but like you put the guy in there and look what he does. I know it's hard to reason with. We're going to put Jake Hansen in there roll him out for the first 5 weeks, and we're going to let Zach Tom sit the bench. But I think starting on offense, Zach Tom could be a fixture for years to come. I know he's got to add some weight, but I love what I saw out of that rookie. One of many rookies that I'll start off with.
Zach Tom was held down the fort. Quay Walker made a couple of great plays in a row. And then I was texting him back and forth about Torrey. Torrey has just that knack for getting open. Like, I know he didn't come down, Rodgers underthrew that pass twice, actually, one on the run to the right, one on the deep, kind of post. I'm not saying he's going to turn into a Jordy Nelson, but I'm saying that maybe he's like better Geronimo Allison, like he's a solid 4, or if one of your guys, your top 3 guys go down, he can fill in. Like he has a knack for getting open. Like
Here's the problem that I see with that, which I think this is really screwed us for like the past like 3 seasons straight. We find this wide receiver like an Alan Lazard or a Torre or a Geronimo Allison or a touchdown Jesus. We're like, oh, this guy can be able to get us through. And then the front office is like, oh, we don't need to draft a wide receiver in the first round. It's like, hey, mom, can we grab McDonald's on the way home? No, we got McDonald's at home. And you get home and it's some, patty that leaves you wanting more. But that's the thing about Torre or some of these wide receivers. I think they're maybe a WR3 at best, and we get we end up clamoring to them. And then we think, oh, we don't need to draft anybody else. When in reality, these wide receivers can't beat your cornerback ones of the world, your Sauce Gardners or your Jalen Ramseys or anybody else. Yes, he has a knack for getting open, but I hate getting my hopes up on him because I feel like this is just like a movie I've watched again and again and again, where sure they can do some things, but let's not just place all our chips on this 7th round draft pick or some undrafted guy or another undrafted guy.
I know. Like
these aren't true dogs.
I know. I just gave him a little shout out because he's.
I just get upset because I know like Packer fans will feed into it, and then front offices will use that as like an excuse for us to go defense again in like the first round or do something else. But it still doesn't address the wide receiver position, which has been a weak spot now for at least 5+ years, maybe 6, 7.
And you're seeing that with now Adams gone, is that Lazard thrust into the 1 just shifts everything, right? Like Adams gone shifts everything because now you don't have that bracket coverage on Adams. Lazard's your 1, and you're just stuck with. But the problem is you can't go wide receiver 1 in this draft because you have too many friggin' holes on the team. Like you have Bakhtiari that goes in and out, so you might need to go a tackle, whether it's right tackle or left tackle, because maybe you shift Yash back to left tackle and draft a right tackle. Like offensive line has been a mess. Like, do you draft cornerback? Do you draft safety? Because Savage can't tackle, Savage can't cover. Like, there's just it's not one piece anymore, right? There's blatant holes. Like, do you draft if you're a top 10 pick, do you draft a quarterback again? Because you're not gonna, if you're keeping Rodgers for $50 million next year, you're not paying Love his 5th-year option for $20 million. You're not paying $70 million for 2 quarterbacks. So that's the crossroads that we're just now at. It's like
nothing's off the table. I don't want to be looking forward to the draft at this point. We got 8 games left in the season. All I'm saying is that we use like somebody who's kind of came on, and I do think Torre has a knack of getting open much more than Sammy Watkins does or Amari Rodgers, maybe even sometimes Alan Lazard. But it's like they use that as an excuse not to address the wide receiver position through free agency or in the draft as they should have throughout the years. And we've missed on all these picks in the first round with defense. Oh no, it's wide the hell open right now. We could go any route here for round 1 when it comes to that point. Here's another player. So Zach Tom looked good. Torre looked great in offense. I think DeGuara is finally starting to pay some dividends as well, which we've had bust now for 3rd-round picks. Enigbare, which I'll probably mispronounce his name or I might actually get it right, but he's almost had 3 sacks in 3 straight games.
That was a terrible, okay, yeah, you got him on the helmet, but as should have been a sack. But yes, he's going to be a legitimate, 3rd offensive, outside linebacker. But knowing where we're headed, like they might get rid of Preston next year and be like, okay, Kinsley, you're our outside linebacker number 2. Like, but he's looked good. Like, I think he deserves more snaps. And Gary's in a walking boot now, so he might take Gary's snaps next week. Like,
I think there was like 4 players in a walking boot. They said they were running out of them in the locker room. They're like, "Hey, can you put a towel with some ice over it and get back to Green Bay, and then we'll be able to remedy it."
uh, yeah, it's just been that year, right? Like,
We
if
could easily go. I'm sorry, not to talk about the draft game. We could easily go safety. I mean, we talked about, which we didn't get to it last week, but Savage is a mess, man. If you talk about holes on the defense, and now I'm starting to like hone in on him, not only in pass coverage, letting up the touchdown, but his missed tackles are just piling up. I think I'd rather have, Mr. Haha Clinton Dix at this point.
either chicken wings for the tackle or he's just nowhere to be found in coverage, right? Like, the defense was supposed to step up, and there's just been, besides Jair, who doesn't ever cover their number 1 wide receiver, and Gary and Preston, I would say the 7 players on defense took a step back. Stokes took a step back. Amos took a step back. Savage took a step back. Campbell was hurt this week, but he's overall taking a step back. Like, it's just been overall just frustrating to that point. But like, yeah, Savage is a huge liability. And I don't know if it's Gutekunst like calling downstairs saying, "No, like Matt, you have to play him because he's my like first round draft pick." But like, Ford should be playing over him. Like, Ford actually flies around and tries to make a tackle, and I appreciate Ford because if he misses the tackle, at least he's flying to the football. Savage is just like, here's my pinky finger, like I'm gonna try to get you.
I'm going to make a Kevin King attempt at this tackle, and we'll see. I almost saw it from day one. I'm like, he is well suited for like a game of 7-on-7, and they call him the football underwear with no pads on.
He looks good in shorts.
I always thought he was undersized from day one. Here's another point to bring up too. Speaking of the defense and like frustrations is like the common theme. This is now 3 straight weeks. Our defense has gotten a flag of like unsportsmanlike conduct or something going on after the play. We're like against the Redskins. It was Stokes who got flagged in the second half for being upset about some sort of flag. And then they piled on another 15. Last week against the Bills, it was Quay Walker getting ejected for pushing a coach. Like, come on, man. What's up with that? And now we got Jair Alexander tossing a player when he's clearly out of bounds. Like, is that like a message that, hey, we're not buying into this Joe Barry defense? Are we just incredibly frustrated? Are we undisciplined? Like, what is that?
I think it's mainly you hit the nail on the head with undisciplined. Like, that's one. And I think frustration's another part. Like, and then you add into the kind of, I don't want to go ticky-tack here, but like Chris Barnes like lowers his shoulder, like gets concussed, and it would have been 3rd and long, and you get the penalty on that. But like, yeah, I think overall it's an undisciplined group. Like, you can look at offense with all the motion penalties, and you can look at the defense with all the late hit out of bounds, the pushing the coaches, because most of the penalties on defense that have been killers, right, have been the 15-yarders, the unsportsmanlike conducts of whatever sort. So it might be frustration with scheme. It might be frustration of, man, we're holding down the fort on defense and the offense can't do shit. And it might be just an undisciplined group. Like, it's
probably a combination of all of them.
Yes. And that's kind of the season as a whole, right?
Here's another player I thought came on. It almost seems like, hey, I think Guety, you hit on quite a few draft picks, especially when Christian Watson isn't getting concussed back-to-back weeks. But I even saw Devontae Wyatt like have a couple of plays where he's like disrupting the passer. He got in on a couple of tackles. I'm like, I just hope by the end of the year he can replace Dean Lowry, Mr. Lunch Pail himself, because I'm tired of I mean, that's a movie I've seen one too many times. Is him getting, blown back on the line of scrimmage again and again.
I actually I actually don't hate the idea of going like Slayton, Watt, Clark, like or Reed, like go 4-3, like put all four of those guys in. Like
And where's
it's
where's Kenny been at the past month?
yeah.
Double, triple teamed.
They're not defenses aren't afraid or offenses aren't afraid of our defense, man. Like it just kind of like pick your poison. Like okay, we're the second rate pass defense in the league because teams aren't throwing it. Like they're not afraid to just here, like hand it off. We're gonna get 8 yards. Like who's gonna stop them besides Kenny if he gets home every once in a while because they're just putting two guys on Kenny every single time. Like you got Campbell out and you got a rookie linebacker who, man, I love Quay. Like Quay looks like he's showing talent, but has rookie abilities. Like Quay picks the wrong hole from time to time. He's
more often than not, he does. He does it. Besides that, like play late in the game where he shot the A gap, like he
yeah,
does. He misreads a lot of plays. But you think about athleticism and speed. He reminds me of like a poor man's Micah Parsons.
yeah, yeah. But like there's just Amos like took a step back. You can't play Amos down in the box because you don't want Savage back there. So you have to cover up for Savage making both play crap. Like Stokes lost all confidence. Like I feel terrible for him because he went down with a gruesome injury this week. But like it's just one thing after another with this defense. And I I don't know where to go from here besides being like, okay, like I can't really be optimistic over the next 3 weeks either because what do you have? You have Dallas, Titans, Philly. Like that's
Our season's already. I'm already putting a.
you got the Larry Dagger.
Yeah, I'm already gonna put a dagger, a fork in us, you name it. I mean, I can be able to count talent evaluation line. Now it's one of those things, 4-6, which I think at this point the wild card it maybe takes 10 wins to get in. So we're down, but not completely out. But the realm possibilities few and far between. I'm counting like 6 rookies that either played well today or signs of promise here for what's to come. When's the last time Guety's had a draft where he's even had like 3 draft picks be able to pan out? And I get it, it's really early, but I'm counting Tom, I'm counting Dobbs, Watson, Torrey. That's offense. Defense, we got Quay, we got Wyatt. We also got potentially who else am I thinking of or missing out there?
Yeah, Inabari.
And Igbara, yes. How much? All right. What is that? 75, 80% of your draft right there?
Yeah.
That's great signs. Way to go, Guety.
But
I was gonna say, Dave, we only got like 4 minutes left. We want to preview if we can this Cowboys game coming up and Mike McCarthy, which by the way, like Fox has shown like commercial after commercial talking about like a historic rivalry for Packers Cowboys. Clearly, you guys are missing the fucking headliner because the headliner is Mike McCarthy returning back to Lambeau Field. How do you not even mention that?
How do you not show McCarthy in the McCarthy way in Green Bay, right?
They missed the assignment, like us missing the assignment of feeding 33.
So Mike gets a bad rap for, the end of the era. But, like, clearly he did great things. Like, McCarthy coming in was very much the, like, LaFleur coming in of back then. Like, you got Favre to an NFC championship game. Like, then within 2 years after Favre left, he got Rodgers to the Super Bowl. Like, I have much love for Mike McCarthy, but he's going to come in and we're going to get the doors blown off us. So I can't.
He's taking this personally, as he shown. He's shown the door with 4 games left, and the season was already lost, like a championship coach. And think, kind of paying some homage or giving McCarthy his flowers. Which, by the way, I saw Rodgers get a little bit teary-eyed at his locker room when talking about Jordy Nelson getting put into the Packers Hall of Fame and kind of reflecting upon those years. But think back, I mean, sure, LaFleur had a great start, but Mike McCarthy inherited a really old team in addition to Favre that was coming off what, a 4-12 season that he
Yeah,
resurrected, able to get to the NFC Championship game, and then your quarterback school with Rodgers and being able to turn him around from holding the ball up here to actually throwing it like a normal quarterback and what he was able to do there. I mean, shoot, I'll cheers Mike McCarthy right there.
Well, cheers, Mike. Well, cheers,
Yeah,
Mike.
let's go mashed potato. Pull your Applebee's menu out because Roger seems to want to go back to it more and more this year.
This was going to be a circled game going into this year, and it just turned into like, congrats, Mike. Like, Mike, like,
We thought this was going to be like a what, 7-2 versus like a 6-3 sort of team.
yeah,
No,
probably.
with fans holding up. We love you, Mike, Mike McCarthy. And we're gonna roll him out the red carpet when he comes into
I
Lambeau.
actually wouldn't be surprised if I saw like "I love you, Mike" or "Thanks, Mike" like at the game next week, knowing that like the spot we're in. Like, I think if it was more competitive, I think you would see a lot more hostility. But because the educated Packer fans know kind of the situation we're in, I think you would actually see a lot more love from McCarthy.
Question for yourself. We got a minute left. This reminds me of when Favre and Rodgers met at midfield when they played each other for the first time. This could easily be Rodgers' last year before he retires. Do you think there's going to be some sort of like gathering at midfield post game and a hug it out, like more than a couple words, like stay healthy and good luck down the road sort of thing?
I think there'll be an ayahuasca like meeting in at midfield of like kumbaya. Yes, I think Rodgers will bring that inner energy to the 50-yard line. It's not going to be like good luck. Yeah, I think it'll be more words than good luck down the road. I think there'll be an actual genuine appreciation.
Dave, this is an end of an era, man.
I know, man. But we'll have some fun next week. We'll do some more Italian evaluation. We'll be like, hey, however you want to script it, man. Like, it's yeah.
Our
We'll just have fun
glasses
this
are
year,
half
man.
full, even though I know yours is more than half full. Mine's less than. We kind of meet each other in the middle.
No, I killed it. I killed it during the episode.
All right, we're gonna stay half full though all throughout the season.
Oh, glass is always, to the brim, man.
Absolutely.
But cheers, Packers on the rocks. Not